I think one of our challenges is we have one big open space, right? It'd be ideal if you had some partitioned spaces, like you had a separate waiting room where some small talk could take place, right? Away from the actual training floor. So yeah, just some thoughts.
Yeah, and this brings up a good point is that when you are setting out to design your studio, your facility, ideally you would have a situation where the training area is completely separated from the rest of the facility, um, preferably by a door. So you can block any sound that's coming from the lobby or the waiting area or whatever. But also have a layout where ideally you don't have to walk through the training area to get to the restroom or to get to a changing area. That stuff would be up front. So when people come in, they can go to the changing area, go to the restroom, be in the lobby or the waiting area, and have that area be separated from the training room. As I say, ideally by a door, but if not by a door, at least separated enough that it's not going to create a distraction when people are coming in and when people are waiting. And this is difficult because a lot of times when you go to rent space in a building, they will, sort of put the restrooms are already built at the back of the room. So, obviously you have the waiting area up front and then you have your training area. And it just so happens that it's unavoidable that the restrooms are in the back. And the only way to
Yeah.
get to the restroom is to walk through the training area. So that can be, that's less than ideal. So, if you can find a way, if you have any flexibility to how the facility is sort of built out, is you try to create a situation where restrooms, changing areas, lobby, whatever is up front, and the training room is at the back, and it's separated from all of that. But
I guess
it's not always possible.
one way of looking at this is it's almost like a checklist, right? And if you can get 80% of it, you're doing quite well, because for instance, layout, not everyone's going to have the luxury of being able to have the ideal layout, right?
Yeah,
But so I do think like having, yeah, one more question I have is having the ultimate ideal exercise environment can be difficult. And just being able to get as close to that as possible is a good achievement,
yeah. I mean,
maybe.
I've certainly, I've been in several different facilities over the years, and even moving my business and being in different types of buildings and different types of facilities. And I've not always had everything, every aspect perfect. I've had situation where the restrooms are in the back and clients got to walk through to go to the restroom and change their clothes. And, I've had situations where I just couldn't maybe get the waiting area as separate from the training area as I would have liked. And, you're not always able to accomplish everything on the list, but,
Yeah.
there's ways that you can, at least minimize problems. You can just teach your clients that when they walk through the room, be as quiet and unobtrusive as possible. Try not to interact with anybody that's training. Just kind of quietly go to the back of the room, use the restroom, change your clothes or whatever, and then go back up to the front and wait in the waiting area, that kind of thing. So you can mitigate some of this stuff, but yeah, you're right. You're not always going to necessarily be able to have everything perfect the way you'd like it. And you just have to, but first you have to be aware of all these things and just be aware of creating, as much of the ideal environment as you can. And since there's so many different things, I mean, we could sit here and kind of come up with more and more examples of things that are distracting or things that cause hindrances. But if you have the mindset that ideally you want as much quiet and distraction-free environment as possible, then anything that disrupts that and causes any kind of a distraction or any kind of a opportunity for clients to lose their concentration and focus or be hindered in their workout in any way, you would try to eliminate as many of those as possible and just, continue to create this environment that just minimizes all of those types of things.